Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to episode 5 of season 2 of the Broker Breakdown with myself and Mike. Today, we are super excited because we have another guest on the podcast, a guest that I am very excited to have on. Me and this guest have worked together, I think, for about a year now. But again, what she does on social media is very intriguing, and again, we'll kind of leave all of her links in the bios of this episode so you guys can check her out. But welcome Pham to the episode.
Hey guys, thanks so much for having me. Super excited to jump on with you both today. I guess I will introduce myself quickly to your audience. So my name's Kim. I work at Forest City Mazda in London, Ontario. It's solely a Mazda dealer. We carry pre-owned vehicles as well. I've been in the industry for about 3 years now. I actually was a financial advisor at Scotiabank previously, and my switch was because I wanted a bit more challenge, a bit more creativity in the day-to-day life. Financial advising taught me a lot, which I was able to carry into the current roles I have now. I actually made the switch right before COVID, so it was a pretty interesting transition because I went from salary to 100% commission. So that was always a lot of fun, but I've had the role of finance as well as our BDC. Now I'm a full-time automotive sales consultant, and I've been doing so for about a year now.
Very nice. And we also found out Kim is starting up a dog shelter at her home. So if you guys need if you guys need any dog shelter services, she's willing to take on more dogs.
Yeah, we don't have children, so we're happy to dog sit. And right now in the house, hopefully the London, or the bylaws don't come knocking my door, but we're dog sitting a
noise complaints.
Yeah, no, they're pretty good. We've got 3 poodles. We just picked up a teacup poodle last night, and he's dog sitting a Cane Corso.
Nice.
He's not horse sized yet, but he's getting there.
Mike, I don't know. I actually never asked you this, Mike. Do you have dogs?
No. The family does. I personally do not. Solely for the fact that me and my wife have cats in the house, but I am a dog person.
You're a cat guy.
You know what though? I'm also allergic to like all animals. So like
you're that's like my girlfriend's dad. He's like allergic to the animals, but like he's just like I guess I'll have to have them in the house.
Yeah, Mike, wouldn't you be allergic to the cat as well though?
No, yeah, exactly. So
that's what he is. He's allergic to the cat.
So when we first like got this new cat, like back when we first started dating, and I remember I like was getting like I was like really having a tough time breathing, and the doctor actually told me at the time, it was funny. He said, you know, you clearly have like asthma as a result of this allergy induced like a cat basically, and so I had to. He basically said it's either two things. He was so blunt, I'll never forget. He said, you either have to get rid of the girlfriend or get rid of the cat. And and obviously neither one of those things has transpired. So all I've done is
you technically got rid of the girlfriend.
Well, married, right?
Yeah.
So now it's
oh, that's hilarious.
Now it's a full-time thing. But no, you know what? I just powered through it, and apparently the body is an amazing, amazing
You're
thing
immune.
Where you can just yeah, exactly. It took me a few months though, to be fair, where you'd like struggle breathing at nighttime, which I think the average person would never you wouldn't prolong that. You kind of just get rid of the cat, but needless to say that it's not the case and wasn't.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, it was more so if I get rid of the cat, I'm getting rid of the girlfriend.
And at that time, there wasn't even a conversation. It just obviously didn't happen, right?
Yep, that makes complete sense.
That's funny. Yeah, kind of moving into things, Kim, obviously working at Mazda and seeing other dealers and other kind of manufacturers kind of move into this direction, but is there any kind of plan for Mazda to kind of start moving into electric vehicles at this given moment?
Yeah, actually, believe it or not, it's in coincidence, but the Mazda Canada we released our CX-90 reveal. So the CX-90 is going to be the most powerful and first hybrid model that Mazda will be releasing for North America. It's based off of the CX-9, which we currently have. It's a 3-row mid-size SUV. And it's been a long wait for this because it's our first hybrid, and they redesigned the CX9. So the CX9 is going to get phased out. CX90 is set to be, we have demonstration units landing sometime in spring. So let's call it like May. I mean, maybe even June, early summer, because everything has been delayed. So always be aware of that. But we should
keep those time frames.
Yeah, the timeline's a little bit off, but we're optimistic. But yeah, so it's the CX90 is super exciting. If anybody wants to see what it looks like, they've redesigned it. It's beautiful. It's powerful. It offers they're bringing back this, not bringing back, but it's the inline six engine. So we generally have a 4-cylinder, 2.5 liter engine. This is now the inline six. It's supposed to basically, the idea is that it reduces the engine vibration when you're driving, but it's a much more powerful engine. We're offering it at, I believe it's 3.6 liters at premium fuel. It's 340 horsepower. It's going to seat up to 8. It also has the plug-in option as well. So we're super excited to see more details roll out from that. But what's really neat is obviously being on YouTube, you can actually look up reviews. And a lot of people in the States right now have been able to get their hands on a few. And it's been received really well across the board. So we're excited to get a demonstration unit and start plugging in some orders for the spring.
When you say YouTube, we are actually on YouTube now. So if you guys haven't checked it out, definitely go to our YouTube channel, The Broker Breakdown, subscribe. Just another avenue that we can kind of post this stuff to our viewers and whatnot. But I know kind of talking to other people in the industry, they say the same thing. Like a lot of their customers are kind of moving in that direction of wanting to have an EV. So are you guys already kind of getting that? Like, are you getting that right now where like people come in and they're like, do you guys have EVs, or like, can we, like, are there plans to kind of get that?
Yeah. So from a personal perspective right now, Mazda did actually release the MX-30, but it was a quiet release. Personally, when I look at the EV models, our current infrastructure doesn't fully support it, right? So we're slowly adjusting as an economy, and what it is that they released the MX-30, which was fully electric, and it was smaller than your standard size SUV. However, there were some glitches, so they had to kind of reboot that. And it's not as well received as the CX-90 has been. So when it comes to EV as well, and this is something I hear every day with conversations with customers, is number one, obviously with the shortage of inventory, you can't get your hands on an electric, fully electric for at least a year if you're ordering one, somewhere between 8 months to a year. And that the technology is there's so much evolution. Right. So what it is, I have heard ups and downs. I'm sure you guys heard about that article with that vehicle, Tesla, right? It was on autopilot and it caused like a 7-car pileup, right? So there's glitches here and there. What I've been actually not coaching, but some of my customers, if they can't wait a year out for the EV and they want to wait till some more changes are made, I've actually mentioned to customers, whether it's with me or with another dealer manufacturer, that they consider lease for 2 to 3 years, wait to see how the market plays out, wait to see the changes that are made with technology. And in 3 years time, I'm hoping that the market, returns to to normal inventory levels, but then the access of fully EV vehicles they're well developed, right? Instead of testing the water so soon. It's like for myself, if I'm interested in ordering the CX-90, I'll probably lease it for the first 3 years, right? Because when you're releasing a new model, there's always things to have worked on.
I just took a quick look too, Kim, because I didn't obviously know it until you mentioned it, but I was just Googling it, and it's a beautiful looking vehicle.
CX-90,
the CX-90,
right?
Yeah.
It's being compared to, it's being compared to BMW. Mazda's always tried to compete with Lexus and Acura, believe it or not, but a lot of people are comparing it as like the most affordable luxury mid-size SUV. So they've done a really, really good job. They've released the newest color. You'll see it. It's the Artisan Red. It's like a dark burgundy. It looks like a dark black cherry in shadows, but when the light hits it, it's got a nice light. Oh, don't mind
There's one of your dogs.
I'm in the zoo. Okay, you go. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, no, that's okay. You take care of them.
That's what happens when you have like 1,000 dogs.
Yeah, it's okay.
James, I was gonna say too here, like just looking at it too, like the style and everything. I looked at the red. I think I've got a picture of what that color that Kim was mentioning.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
and
like
man,
almost like
it's It's
You know what
nice.
it reminds me of? It reminds me of like a nice, like crisp, like red wine.
You know what? Someone said that it was like a Merlot.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So I love that. I love the words or the adjectives are coming out describing it and like how people are creating those emotional connections. Maz has always been a huge believer of, the driving experience itself, right? It's one thing to design such a high performance vehicle, but they have always been able to carry a beautiful design amongst all the vehicles from the Mazda 3 all the way up to the CX-9. And it comes with performance, but overall they do a great job. Like when you sit inside the vehicles, any of the Mazda vehicles, in comparison to the other manufacturers, like they're all about the touch. Like we're all about soft touch. So all the parts inside Mazda, even when it comes to the doors and the dash and things like that, soft touch buttons, everything is very intuitive. So Mazda is really neat, and it's just with what they call I believe it's pronounced. Oh God, they're gonna I think it's pronounced Kodo design. I should
Yeah,
know this,
I'm
but
reading that here.
yeah. But anyways, yeah. So it's the EV market's an interesting market. And yeah, customers are eager, but it's the wait time, right? And at first, the idea of waiting a year is ideal. But I have customers that have come in and they have I think it's the Toyota RAV4 right now. That's a 2-year wait. And
Right.
yeah, I think that's what it is. It's a Toyota RAV4 and it's the hybrid or the electric model. It's a 2-year wait. So then I have customers coming in and buying something in the meantime. So it's definitely an interesting time to purchase. That's for sure.
Yeah, we've noticed too, like, I mean, just talking about the wait times, as you were saying,
Yep.
and this is the thing that we've noticed through how it affects us on the insurance side is that, if someone has like a claim, for example, and is looking at buying a new vehicle, inventory is massive, right? So whatever dealerships have available, or maybe not available too, right? I guess is the one talking point. If you're in a claim, you can't wait, sometimes 6, 8, 5 months for a vehicle, right? It's all depending on what your household's like, and do you need a vehicle every day or you don't, or all those things come into play when we talk to clients about what they need.
Yeah. To speak on that point, it's funny. I have a customer right now who's in a sticky situation. So, just a bit of, I guess, education in terms of how leasing and financing works. The interest rates that are set by Mazda Canada and Scotiabank, they change on a monthly basis. And that's kind of I guess it's more so a selling factor. So for example, January, a 7-year finance was 6.7%. Believe it or not, it's absolutely insane. But yeah, close to 7% to finance a brand new vehicle.
Wow. Yeah.
Right.
That is what it is right now, right?
Yeah. So essentially I have a customer who inquired, he's like, I really want a brand new vehicle. I believe I wrote off it. He was in an accident on Saturday, but he's waiting to hear back from the insurance company. And it's that turnover time of when the insurance company deems that it's a write-off, because he wanted to secure that, the rate in the vehicle, but he can't commit because he's unsure. So it's almost like it's a race to the finish. So I said to him, I've got 2 vehicles for you, but you've got to decide this month if you want to lock down this rate. It's like, well, I can't decide. And it's tough right now. So a lot of the shock for a lot of customers is not knowing where we are with new inventory.
Right.
Is that still an issue that you guys are finding?
Yep.
Like, I know, like through COVID and stuff, that was obviously like a big thing. Like if I was driving by dealerships and whatnot, like everything was like empty. Like it was like a ghost town. Like I almost felt like some dealerships like closed down, because I was like, there's no way that they don't have nothing on this lot. So are you guys still kind of having struggles like that? Like, has it gotten better, or like, is it?
So what it is that we've pivoted, and what we've done at our dealership is we have accumulated and acquired we have over 60 to 70 pieces of pre-owned inventory, and the pre-owned inventory ranges from anything from 2015 to 2023. Like, we are buying everything, because right now the thing is, if you can't buy a new car and if you just wrote off your vehicle or your vehicle just died, you are not in the position to wait as much as you want to, right? So we're pivoting to more having that mindset of being a pre-owned dealership when it comes to new inventory. So at our dealership, we are lucky, and we have kept one model of each vehicle, right, for a test drive. So if you come in, you're like, I like the CX-30, I like the CX-5, I want to compare the two. I've got both for you to test drive. And then that way you're able to touch, feel, see the vehicle and place your order based on that.
Yeah, that's a smart move.
So it's weird. We get waves. So during December to January, we had about 25 units get dropped off at our dealership that we were available to sell brand new. But right now, I don't have anything. Like if you came in, James, and you said, I want to buy a brand new Mazda 3, you'd have to place a factory order. And the factory order can range from 6 to 10 months, depending on the model that you're getting. So, and that's relatively the same with other manufacturers when I speak to my customers about our competitors. Mazda still continues to try, and all manufacturers, they continue to try and send us out like a set amount of allocated units. But I'm on top of my customers, and I'm like, I know exactly what they want. If I see that car come in before it even comes to the dealership, I've got someone's name on it and a deposit, right?
Yeah.
So
it's basically sold before it even lands.
Yeah, if I hear wins, like I'm just like, okay, my customer wants this vehicle, let's do up the numbers and let's lock this down. But yeah, I don't think that we're going to return to regular inventories at least for another year. Like it's tough, right? So I feel for some of the customers that, aren't in the position to purchase a new vehicle, whether it be new or used. But it's one thing is just, it's that shock. It's the interest rates and the inventory, right? So
you made a good point there, and you said you don't know if you'll ever go back to how it was prior. And that's another conversation I've had with a lot of my other dealers is, do you ever think it's going to get to that point? Because a lot of people in the dealer world they said, you know what, this almost puts the power back into the dealership.
Yep.
Because then they are the ones that are basically like pulling the strings with the deals, because they can basically set prices and the prices are really not going to change. And then the factory orders, and they don't have to keep stock. So that they're not basically losing money on a car sitting there for like 6 to 8 months, where they can just order stuff as people want it. So do you think that that's kind of how it's going to go? Like it's going to basically go the way of like, you know what, like, yes, you can test drive it, but there's going to be now like most orders or most deals now are going to be like factory orders.
Yeah, I have to admit, and it's pretty, it's clear, like it's black and white right now. The automotive industry, the deals are in favor of the manufacturers. Before COVID, we had about 50 brand new cars like on our lot in the back, right? So if you walked in, I could give you a choice of like 3 to 5 Mazda 3s, right? And at that, we were in a position where there was room for negotiation, right? I've had this car for, let's say, way too long now because of the color. There'd be room for a discount. So to give you guys an idea of where I'm at, the last year that it's been happening and what I've seen even after COVID, we haven't had to discount a brand new vehicle ever since COVID hit. After we came back, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So we sell at MSRP. We don't set any higher premiums. We sell at the manufacturer suggested retail pricing, and that's that. It doesn't go anything above, and it doesn't really go below that either. And it's because I say to my customers, we're negotiating on a vehicle that's not even built, right? So
yeah, you know what? I don't think that's a bad thing, Kim, for you guys either. Like, and I say that as an industry in general, because right now we've got the supply and demand issues, right? Across the board for so it's not like it's like a specific brand or manufacturer or dealership. It's kind of just that's the way the landscape is right now moving forward, right? So it's certainly, I mean, if the whole industry would have to shift again, like, when you go through like these cycles where it's supply and demand, everybody across the board would have to say, okay, every manufacturer's got 100 cars in the lot. The supply, the client wants to buy it and be able to take it off the lot delivered within like 2 days, right? But that's a consumer saying that, which makes you guys have to get more. If that doesn't come back from us as clients, then there's no reason to have the 100 cars sitting there, right? We just kind of shifted, I think. I think COVID has exposed us as clients and what our needs are sometimes and our wants. And the wants are, the reality is that when we want a vehicle, we're willing to put money down and wait for it. So that's just what we're seeing.
Yep. And you know what? If you ask me honestly, do I want the inventory levels to return back to normal? Of course I do. As a salesperson, it's difficult, right? Because the orders that we write, they're just contracts. There's, in a bit of a, I guess, this is another perception, but as a commission salesperson, I don't see any of that until the actual vehicle's here. So in a month, I could technically sign 18 contracts, which is amazing on paper, but I don't see any of it until the vehicles come in, right? Which is fine because, we manage, but it's an interesting time. And I think maybe in 2 or 3 years, that would be nice, but that's me as a salesperson saying that. And speaking on behalf of consumers, because I know like a lot of my customers would, it still shocks them. So it's, I've more so been, I feel like a teacher than a sales consultant in the last year. So it's educating customers, guiding them through navigating today's market.
Yeah, that's what we do on a daily basis.
I can only imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, that's literally all we do. If we have mitigation Mike here, so it's
mitigation.
Yeah,
that's literally his job.
Yeah.
I mean, I love that. I mean, like you said, just educating people, giving as much insight and as much info as possible. And then that separates you from hopefully other sales reps as well, right?
100%.
Whether they're at different dealerships or even the same. I mean, Mazda as well, but at a different lot, right? Maybe you're the one that then they want to use and go to, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that, having full transparency in this time is super important, very important. Like the advice I can give to any customers, your customers, my customers, anyone listening is if you're going into the dealership, you got to ask yourself one thing: can you wait or do you need the vehicle? Because if you can wait, don't even look at a pre-owned vehicle. Pricing on the pre-owned vehicles is going to blow your socks off. You're not going to be able to digest it. And it's just, it's just easy. If you could wait, then wait it out because the interest rates are much lower. The pricing makes more sense. However, if you can't, then you're going to look at pre-owned, right? And that just saves you time. It saves everybody time. And it just takes the stress out of trying to look at two and, overwhelming oneself. And always ask your salesperson. So I've noticed a lot of other manufacturers more so dealerships with certain sales consultants. It's paying attention to things like, is your interest rate guaranteed? What's going on with your trade value? Is that something that they're going to reevaluate when the car comes in? Also updates from your sales consultant. You said this timeline, when am I going to expect, updates? And that kind of reassures the customer. So even if I don't have any good news for my customers, like if I don't have an ETA, I just said, hey, you're still in the queue. Hope you're doing well. Like I'm thinking of you. Like I know you just wrote, you're trying to buy a car for $50,000. You haven't been forgotten. Right. So it's just trying to make it exciting and carrying on that throughout the waiting time, because it can be as long as 6 months to 10 months, right?
Yeah. And the one thing too that's super interesting, I know you mentioned earlier, and I wrote down a little note, but I wanted to get back to it. Having like those other cars, like you were saying, like you said there was some pre-owned that you guys just have on the lot to keep around in case someone needs that. Kim, did I get that right?
Like, so it's new vehicles. So it's, I have one brand new vehicle of each model in my lineup in order to showcase to my customers. So should they decide they want to order it, right? They can. What I was saying in regards to pre-owned inventory is that my vehicle acquisition manager, he's been acquiring. Even, for example, you guys probably have heard of the CX-50. It was just released last year. I have someone,
right.
I have a 2023 CX-50 that only has 15,000 kilometers on it, right? It literally is brand new.
Right.
It's just, depending on how you're buying it, that's gonna kind of, it confuses a lot of customers, but we have vehicles. It's just whether or not you want, it's just digesting, right? The price, right? So.
Sure. No, but what I like though about that and the fact that you guys have taken a stance, I'm not sure if that's, I guess every dealership can take their own stance on that if they choose to. But what's great for the client is that if they come in like that claim scenario, or they're in a rush and they still want to support the dealership directly, I mean, you maybe have other options that other dealerships wouldn't have, for example, if you're not bringing vehicles in, like even the pre-owned ones.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We try to make, sorry,
right?
Go ahead, Mike.
No. I was literally done. I was just going to say though, like that's amazing, because then it gives people a choice versus just saying, hey, it's going to be that 6 or 8 months, right? It's saying we do have something on the lot. It's last year, but it's got 50K on it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's something they need in that time period.
Yeah, it's where a lot of the consumers that are in the tougher spots, like I said, are the ones that are in, like my current customer. He doesn't know if he's going to be needing a new vehicle or if it's going to be deemed a write-off, right? Because there's a turnover time and there's nothing you can do about it, right? And that's the insurance end on your guys' end. So it's interesting, but like I said, just trying to make, it's not so much a high sales pressured environment anymore. When you walk into a dealership, it's honestly like what's going on, and like your salesperson should, educate you and, like I said, guide you through it, because there's nothing I'm trying to do to, persuade, convince, or deceive any of my customers. It's black and white, right? So it's definitely a different atmosphere, and I think I like it a little better because it's not as high pressure, right?
Sure. It's just the reality, and you're kind of selling yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you can sell Kim to someone, and maybe they leave the dealership, and it's not a sale, but they say, you know what, she was so honest, and this is the timeline, and this is what I learned that I didn't know from somebody else. Those are the things like that we always talk about, and for insurance that separate us from the literally thousands of brokers.
Oh yeah,
every other day.
It's just genuinely caring. I find it, and I know what you mean. I say to my customers, even if you don't buy with me, these are the things that you should just look out for. And I find that type of honesty and that transparency as a salesperson, right, really, it goes a long way, because that individual may not purchase from me because they might like, let's say, the RAV4 over my CX5. However, if they
Right.
have a friend or a family, referrals are what keeps business going, right? So it's
Sure.
just don't ever burn any bridges, right? You never know. Just always be a kind person. That's the best way to put it.
Totally. And we got to, like, the insurance perspective, there's most insurance companies, and I say most just because maybe there's some that doesn't, but the majority of them offer like that vehicle replacement coverage.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a couple of different terms in our business, but it's kind of there to hopefully ensure that the insurance company provides the proper payout
Right.
in the event of a total loss on that new vehicle. And the interesting thing is it's different between companies. Mm-hmm. Some will give up to 2 years, 24 months. Some will give up to 5 years. So, I mean, a total of 60 months. So that's going to help significantly if they get that claims check back from insurance. They want to come back to you and say, here's the proper bill of sale value,
Yep.
for example.
Right. No, that's we've referred to that as a guaranteed asset protection. And I know you guys probably find we offer that at the dealership as well, but ours is a little bit different compared to yours. I think yours,
Right.
don't want to shoot my own foot, but it might just be more cost effective depending on the policy, right? The difference with ours is that we cover the entirety of the loan to the term.
Yes. And there are differences, and
Yep.
it's a good talking point between us on the insurance and you guys at dealerships, because ours is really for ensuring the client just gets the proper payout for insurance.
Right.
It's not really about the financing.
Yep.
That's more for your coverage and what's being available from the dealership
Mm-hmm.
side. Ours is just saying if you bought the vehicle at 50 grand and 2 years later, market value is, let's say, I don't know, 25. Let's just throw a number out there. If it's only 25, but you still owe 35 or 40 on the vehicle, which you more than likely will after 2 years. The bill of sale, so what the MSRP is, what you actually paid for it, you should get a proper payout, and then you can go back to the dealership and say, this is what I'm getting from insurance. How can I utilize that to pay off whatever I owe and then get into a new vehicle, for example?
Yep. So and that's where the gap, it differs, right? So it depending on each situation and what kind of vehicle you're buying, I would always suggest checking both options, right?
Yes.
There's always running it by your insurance company and getting the breakdown. And what I like about you guys listening to your podcast is that the lingo that you use is easy for the regular consumer, right? Breaking it down, right? Because it can be, people don't understand that, and just breaking it down, making it simple English, right? Because that's something that I think anybody should have. Literally, I have it on my vehicle. Like, if you don't, no one owns their vehicle. So like I always, if you don't own it, you should protect the loan or protect the vehicle one way or another, because you never know when it's going to happen. I've never been in an accident, knock on wood, but you just never know. And that's what insurance is there for.
We hope you never are.
Exactly. Yeah.
But we've all made good points about education. That's kind of moving into our next topic. I know me and Kim have talked about it in the past, and when I sat down with her last time, it was a big talking point. But kind of like what you do on social media, for me, like really intrigues me what you've done. And the funny thing is that when I was there last, like before Christmas time, you actually said to me that you actually weren't always comfortable doing social media, what you do with your videos and stuff. So kind of talk to us about a little bit about that, like how you kind of got into that, like how it's kind of grown your business.
So we all know our generation, we might have missed it, but let's be honest, like the internet era, we grew up in the internet era, but then the social media, TikTok, and the way the videos spread and are shared, social media in this generation is insane. People that don't even haven't even finished high school are making millions, right? Because it's all about what we see on our phones and day to day. So I thought, social media is something that our dealership, like I have to say, like completely lacked presence of, right? A lot of dealerships weren't really hopping on that train. So I thought, how can you connect with customers? Sales is a relationship building atmosphere. That's what it is. Being able to sell is being able to build a relationship. So I thought, why don't I start? It was scary because it's just putting yourself out there. So I started my Instagram account last February, and I remember I was like, I'm so nervous. How do I edit reels? Because you have to learn how to edit your videos, right, to make them enjoyable to watch. And how do I record? How do I sound? Like, we're, as human beings, we're so skeptical, but I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. And I've seen some really horrible videos, and I just started one. I really liked the feedback, started another. And then I just realized that my social media presence, so to give you guys an idea, I don't get much for lead generation. I probably, in the last year I've had it, I maybe have had 5 leads total from my Instagram account. What my Instagram account does for me is that it allows me to meet my future customers without them being in the dealership. So it allows them it's breaking the ice. They can see what they're coming in, what they're expecting, because the unknown is scary for anybody. If you hop on our dealership website and you were to be able to see the videos, people are more comfortable with people that they're familiar with. And that's what my goal is, right? And not only is it to, to win your business before you even walk in, or at least win the opportunity to do so, it's to also educate my customers. I also wanted different type of content, right? Everybody knows, like, not to chirp anybody else that currently does this, because, instead of just posting, photos of their customers and like cars and the specs below, we scroll through that. I wanted it to be different. I know that if I was going to do this, I wanted to make it count. So I thought, how can I make content that people want to watch? And so one of what you guys will see on my account will essentially be I love getting my customers to, it's the transition where they are picking up a vehicle. So they're standing in front of nothing or their old vehicle, and then they cover the camera, and then bam, they're in front of their new vehicle. And it's so much fun doing that with my customers. It creates so much more excitement on the delivery day. And other people love seeing that. Like, a video speaks so much more than a photo, right? So,
you know what? There was a couple things that I loved. Yeah, for one, the transition, it brings a little bit of element of fun to it. So like the client then is part of that experience, and they enjoy it. But it's also, I think, the video aspect, and one thing you've done well is its personality, right? It tells more about who Kim is, versus, like you were saying, with photos, you could have the traditional sales of a vehicle and like a handshake, whatever it is. But I think, and again, this is just my perspective. Sure. It's not to say it's wrong, but I think that it's in the past, it's kind of the old fashioned way, but it doesn't necessarily say a lot. Like, you could say there's the photo, and afterwards does it go back to being like that traditional, just like sales. Whereas video is like, it's your personal brand. It's that personality you're trying to get across. It shows like future clients you're actually a real human, not just, you know what I mean? It's all these elements of like that personal brand that we need. I think us as consumers now, we need this for everything, whether it's insurance or cars or anything else. Their video has really opened up a whole other avenue.
You just want to know who you're dealing with. And like, as a salesperson, there's so many sales consultants. Like, I'm on a team with 4 other guys and another, just a coworker of mine. She's there. How do I set myself apart? Why should you buy from me versus them? And, I just want to just be put on that map. And it's not for the fame or anything like that, but it's generally like, you really got to, why should you buy from Kim instead of buying from so-and-so and so-and-so, right? So it's not just, you'll get to be on my social media, but you can see carrying through on my Instagram as well. I always like to educate my customers, things that you didn't know, things about getting a pre-approval, things about the current market. It's just being able to connect with your customers. And like I said, you'd rather deal with someone you kind of know versus someone that you don't know at all. And this is a way of me connecting with my future customers. So it's been well received so far. And I think generally people do enjoy it. Mind you, the editing is a skill that I've learned to master. It is self-taught. I have to say, if you guys ever want to learn anything in the world, go on YouTube, go on TikTok. That's why the internet generation is so amazing. Like, people are like, where did you learn how to edit that way? I'm like, I went on YouTube. and then Yeah,
Very
I didn't even
true.
have to take a.
It's
It's
not
not
easy.
easy.
I'll tell you, it's not
No,
easy.
it's time consuming, but I have a knack for it. But yeah, it's if you want to learn anything, you can learn anything on YouTube. But it's honestly, like I said, sales is about building relationships, and I have customers that will message me, 3 months after they pick up. They're like, Kim, my battery's dead. I'm like, okay, where are you? So I just like, it's just constant. They like to message on social media a lot easier than they do, let's say, your personal phone, right? It's not as invasive. Yeah.
Right. Right. That's a huge element too of that. Again, that it's almost that personal touch. Whereas I think the way that like the whole call center type environment, right? Where you're after you do like a sale, for example, especially in our business, you call into like that kind of queue system. It it works for some, but it doesn't for a lot of others, right? So it depends on like what type of client you're trying to attract in a sense. Because if people love dealing with Kim and that's the reason why they come to Mazda, yeah, maybe they want to text you or do it through Instagram. You know what I mean? Instead of it being like, you got to call the landline number at the dealership for you.
Yeah, it's just less people like being comfortable, right? That's what our phones have allowed us to do. And I think no matter what industry you're in, like every industry, it's the same thing. We all have to deal with consumers, and how do you get to consumers / your customers, right? So number one, it's being approachable and making sure your customers feel comfortable. But yeah, it's just knowing how the human brain works and understanding what would I want for myself, right? No matter what industry, the insurance industry, but even if you're an entrepreneur, you're a real estate agent, anything like that. Like, I know I'm speaking things that kind of have been said before, but it's just so imperative, to set yourself different from others, but be genuine and be natural, right? Like, I believe it or not, like, I am as quirky and loud, or what? Not really loud. That's not a great way to describe myself. But just being down to earth, but just putting yourself out there, right? Because someone will a lot of people have good for you, Kim. It's not easy because there are internet bullies, and there are people that can, make comments that you don't really like, but you just got to stay positive. And taking away, if anybody wants to check it out, it's I think, James, you're going to mention that you'll link it, but it's Cruising with Kimmy, and Kimmy is spelled Kiimmy. But I'm also open if you guys ever need any advice or any pointers. I'm happy to help. You guys are a little bit far away, but anybody in London, Ontario, I'd be happy to swing by to show you how I just simply put together a reel, because I think helping others succeed is important to who you are as well, and just helps that overall aspect.
Oh, and then that is literally why that I picked the people that I picked to work with, is because again, like, they educate, and like you said, you want to familiarize yourself with someone. Again, like, I don't want to put the trust of my clients in someone that, again, I can't call and bounce ideas off of, or they have no personality, right? That's kind of why I gravitated towards you, because every conversation that we've had in the past when I've come to London, or even if we've been on the phone or whatever, it's been great conversation. And again, I'm like, you know what? Like, my clients are going, like, I can put all my trust that if I send a client to Kim, I know 110% that my client's going to be dealt with, is going to have the utmost respect in the buying process. And again, like, I know she's not going to come in and do all like the scummy salesperson kind of role of buy from here because I'm the best and all that kind of stuff. It's going to be the education side of things. And like I said, I love what you're doing on social media. And like I said, you have to familiarize yourself with people, because again, I would rather go to someone that I know, even if it's on social media. You always think you know that person. Like, you follow that person. You're like, you know what? I almost like feel like we've met in person, but you never have. So again, like, as a consumer myself, I would rather go to that person, because I go, you know what? I see this person post all the time, and I feel like I have a connection in this person because I see what they're posting basically every single day.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's based on connection, but yeah, it's helping your customers. And like I said, James, like, I even with my friends and family that refer customers to me, I'm going to lay it all out. If I can help you, I'm going to help you the best I can. But if I can't, that's completely fine. Let me see how I can direct you to where you can actually get help. I myself have referred. Like, I have a friend that works at a Hyundai dealership in London, and when I find out, she's not a huge fan of the Mazda brand, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go to Hyundai." Like, good karma, right? I said, you know what, please go see so-and-so. She's a good friend of mine. And it comes back, right? It comes back full circle. So I think having that mindset is, it's also practicing that. It's going to be good energy for 2023. And I think that the more that people put their best foot forward, the better the whole world will be eventually, right?
Exactly. Great kind of way to summarize and kind of finish up the episode. Again, good karma for 2023. And again, I think for me, Mike here, we appreciate you coming on, taking the last basically hour of your time to kind of talk to us about what's going on in the market, especially with Mazda, and then obviously what you're doing to kind of familiarize yourself with your clients and whatnot. But again, no, we really appreciate you taking the time to come on and kind of give us some insight on what's going on the outside of the insurance world.
No, it's been fun. I appreciate you guys inviting me on here. And I'd be happy to jump on and maybe when we have another conversation when things change again. But I'm always happy to join the party here. So thank you so much again, guys, for having me.
Yeah, we'd love to have you on again. Kind of once things start changing, maybe you guys announce a few more vehicles, or
why not?
Yeah. Exactly. The industry changes a little bit. No, we'd love to have you on maybe later on in the year, and again, kind of give some more insight to our clients. But
hopefully better interest rates at the time, Kim. At that point too.
I'm sure everybody heard we just had a bit of a hike. Let's hope that this is the highest hike they've had. Fingers crossed that either we just kind of mellow out at this point. But I just let's like I said, at the end of the day, we can't control the interest, but we can control the payment, right?
Yes. Correct. Yeah. I love it.
Well, anyways, guys, thank you guys for tuning in to the episode this week. Again, we appreciate Kim jumping on. We will be linking all of her social media in the bios to all the sites that we're on, streaming services and YouTube. And then again, once we post the actual episode, we'll be posting her Instagram and everything like that. So if you guys are ever in the market to buy a new vehicle and you guys are in the London area, definitely check out Kim. But until next week, guys, thank you guys for watching or listening, and we'll check you guys next week.